think I've ever talked about this directly, maybe indirectly, or maybe I've mentioned it, however, not been real specific about it. So I'm going to be today because there's a big misunderstanding about rights. And you hear this all of the time, people saying, my constitutional rights, but they refer to all rights as my constitutional rights. No. Your constitutional rights are rights that as a society, we agree everybody has the right to. For instance, you have the right to a trial by jury. That's a constitutional right. It's not a right that God said you have. Hey, you have a right to a jury trial over any minor that exceeds $20. It's a right that was agreed upon and was codified in the Constitution. Now, like the right to keep and bear arms, or the right to question those who you employ, those are natural rights. When we start referring to all of our rights as constitutional rights, what you have to remember is that government has the ability to amend the Constitution. Therefore, what you're actually saying is that your rights are really privileges, since government can change it. And really, those rights that are constitutional rights are privileges we have. And, I guess it's a privilege to be judged by 12 fucking idiots in a box, opposed to one tyrant wearing a black robe. That's a privilege, I guess. But, I hear everybody from, all the First Amendment auditors. Even I was just listening to one, Warren Sapp is now auditing, if you didn't know, the NFL's Hall of Famer. I believe he's a Hall of Famer, ain't he? If he's not, he should be. I don't remember. I don't keep up with the NFL. Haven't in a long time. But your government believes that you are a fucking peasant that will obey. And if you don't obey, even if you're not harming anybody, even if you're not bothering anybody's shit, or, they're going to make you obey. And how will they make you obey? Listen, there's a line of idiots that were bullied in high school, that were bullied all through middle school, willing to line up to make $17 an hour in some podunk town, Tennessee, or whatever state you live in, just to have the perceived authority that badge gives them. My question becomes, when we're going down that road, and change the topic here, is what happens when people decide, you know what, we're no longer going to obey. We're no longer going to buy into the authority propaganda. Matter of fact, when we see you committing a crime against one of us, we are going to gang up on you like you now do us. And they do. That's why they act the way they do. They know they can hit their little button, call code 3, and there'll be every thug within earshot of that radio will be there without a question, even if that cop was in the wrong. Let's say that cop tried to rape your old lady, pulled her over at a traffic stop, middle of the night, some dead-end back room, and tried to rape her. And that woman somehow, miraculously did her due diligence, was able to protect herself, and shot that cop. If he got out on the radio that shots were fired and that he is hit, when the rest of the thugs show up, without a fucking question, they're going to kill your old lady. And then ask questions. And if it's anything like Benton County, Tennessee, there won't be no video of it to prove otherwise. They'll say that they showed up and she was firing shots and cops pulling up to the scene. They're like a rabid chihuahua or some shit. Just pointing a Glock 9 everywhere, just firing shots off. They had to take her out for the safety of the community on the dead-end road with no houses. And it'll all be swept under the rug, and, if she lives, she'll get life in prison or death penalty. And, if it's the other way around, the cop kills her, he might, he might he'll be able to resign and keep his pension and all his property. He'll get unemployment. Maybe not unemployment, possibly though. It doesn't matter because he'll be hired in the next town over. If you haven't picked up the what's going on, there's an old saying from way back. I don't know where it comes from, but I do know that it is an old saying been around as long as I've been alive. It was around long before then. Is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The way that power corrupts absolutely over time is that power grows. It allocates itself more money for training, more money for equipment, and it's always better shit than you can get. And you know, if somebody paid for all my training, I'd train nonstop. But anyway, constitutional rights versus natural rights. You have the natural right to question anybody that works for you. You have the constitutional right to things like a jury trial, or your right to an attorney, things like that. But I think it's important that, you know, as a society, we distinguish the difference in the two types of rights.